Across the world and throughout history, humanity has felt a powerful pull towards high places. It is really an instinct born from the fundamental need for survival. To see without being seen, to command a view of the landscape below, is to hold a significant advantage. This primal understanding has shaped our ancestors' decisions for millennia. They looked to the mountains not just as obstacles or sources of resources, but as natural platforms for security and power. From these elevated positions, they could watch for approaching danger, whether from rival tribes or the unpredictable forces of nature. The high ground offered a sanctuary, a place of refuge where a community could defend itself more effectively against the world. This strategic impulse led to some of the most extraordinary feats of engineering and determination in human history. People did not simply settle on mountains, they reshaped them. They carved terraces into steep slopes, erected massive walls along perilous ridges, and built entire cities that seemed to defy gravity itself. These were not mere shelters. They were declarations of strength, permanence, and control. Building a fortress in the sky was an immense undertaking, requiring the collective effort of thousands over many generations. It was a testament to a society's ambition and its unwavering commitment to securing its future etched into the very rock of the earth. The decision to build high was a conscious one, balancing immense difficulty against unparalleled reward. Hauling stone, water, and food up treacherous paths was a daily struggle. Yet, the safety it provided was worth the price. From their lofty homes, inhabitants could gaze out across their entire domain. They could monitor the changing seasons, the movement of herds, and the flow of travelers along distant trails. This vantage point transformed a simple settlement into the nerve center of a region, a place from which all things could be observed and, ultimately, controlled. The mountain became an extension of the community's will, a silent stone guardian watching over their lives. These fortresses in the sky were more than just defensive structures. They became symbols of identity and power. For the people living within their walls, they were the center of the universe, a secure home blessed by proximity to the heavens. For those living in the valleys and plains below, they were a constant, looming reminder of the authority that watched over them. The silhouette of the fortress on the horizon was a powerful psychological statement. It spoke of order, of a ruler's might, and of a civilization that had mastered its environment. These were places where the earth and human ambition met, creating enduring monuments to our quest for safety and dominance. In our journey through history, we encounter countless examples of these remarkable high-altitude settlements. Yet, three in particular stand as powerful testaments to this ancient impulse. They are separated by vast oceans and continents, born of different cultures and different times. Still, they share a common story of ambition written in stone upon the mountains. The first is Alinja, a formidable fortress clinging to a jagged peak in the arid lands of Nakhchivan, in modern-day Azerbaijan. It is a place of legendary resilience, known as the Machu Picchu of the Caucasus, a testament to centuries of defiance. Its story is one of resistance against some of the most powerful empires the world has ever known. Thousands of miles away, across the Atlantic Ocean, we find our second example nestled in the cloud forests of the Andes. This is Kuelap, the colossal stronghold of the Chachapoyas people, the warriors of the clouds, in what is now northern Peru. Built long before the rise of the Inca Empire, Kuelap is a city of staggering scale, encircled by monumental stone walls that rise up to 20 meters in height. It is a silent witness to a sophisticated and powerful culture that thrived in this challenging mountain environment. Its grand design and strategic location speak of a people who were masters of their domain, capable of organizing labor on an immense scale to create an impregnable home. Our third fortress takes us to the plains of Punjab in present-day Pakistan. Here, rising abruptly from the surrounding flatlands, stands the mighty Rohtas fort. Unlike Alinja and Kuelap, which sit on natural mountain peaks, Rohtas was built on a commanding hill to control a strategic highway. Commissioned by the great Pashtun ruler Sher Shah Suri in the 16th century, it is a masterpiece of military architecture. Its massive ramparts, intricate gateways, and sprawling complex were designed not just for defense, but for projection of power. Rohtas was a tool of conquest and control, a garrison built to suppress rebellion and secure a newly forged empire. Together, Alinja, Kuelap, and Rohtas tell a global story. They show us that the logic of building on high ground is a universal human concept. Whether in the Caucasus, the Andes, or the plains of Punjab, the fundamental principles remain the same. These fortresses were designed to provide security, to oversee vast territories, and to stand as undeniable symbols of authority. Each one is a unique chapter in the long history of our species' relationship with the landscape, demonstrating how different cultures, facing different challenges, arrived at the same remarkable solution: to build their bastions among the clouds, creating fortresses in the sky. The primary reason for enduring the immense hardship of building on high ground was, of course, defense. A fortress perched on a mountaintop presents a formidable challenge to any attacker. The steep, often treacherous slopes leading to the gates acted as the first and most effective line of defense. An approaching army would be exhausted and exposed long before it even reached the walls. The defenders, positioned high above, held every advantage. They could see their enemies coming from miles away, giving them ample time to prepare. This early warning system was crucial, turning the tables on any potential surprise attack and allowing for a calm, organized response. From their elevated position, defenders could use gravity as a powerful ally. They could rain down arrows, rocks, and other projectiles upon an ascending force with devastating effect. The attackers, meanwhile, had to fight an uphill battle in every sense of the word. Their own arrows would lose momentum, and their siege engines were often impossible to haul up the narrow, winding paths. The very landscape became a weapon for the defenders. The high walls of the fortress were not just a barrier, they were the final, insurmountable obstacle at the end of a grueling and costly ascent. This natural defensive advantage meant that a relatively small number of soldiers could hold off a much larger attacking force for an extended period. Beyond pure military strategy, elevation offered a unique psychological advantage. A fortress dominating the skyline was a constant and imposing symbol of power. For the ruler, it was a declaration of their unassailable authority, a palace that touched the heavens and looked down upon the world of ordinary mortals. For the subjects in the valleys below, the sight of the fortress was a daily reminder of who was in control. It projected an aura of omniscience, as if the ruler's gaze could penetrate every corner of the kingdom. This psychological dominance helped to maintain order and discourage rebellion, asserting control not just through force, but through sheer presence. Furthermore, these high-altitude strongholds often served as critical nodes in the control of trade. Many were strategically positioned to overlook vital mountain passes, river valleys, or ancient trade routes. From their perch, The rulers of the fortress could monitor, tax, and protect the caravans and merchants passing through their territory. This control over commerce was a significant source of wealth and power, funding the garrison and the state. The fortress became both a gatekeeper and a safe haven. It ensured that no goods or armies could pass without the ruler's knowledge and consent, turning a defensive position into a lucrative economic choke point. In the stark and beautiful landscape of the Nakhchivan Autonomous Republic of Azerbaijan, a single, formidable mountain rises towards the sky. At its summit, clinging to the crags and precipices, are the ruins of Alinja fortress. For over 2 millennia, this place was a symbol of incredible endurance. Its location is its greatest asset. The mountain slopes are exceedingly steep, with sheer rock faces on several sides, making any direct assault almost impossible. The builders of Alinja masterfully integrated their fortifications with this natural terrain. They constructed walls and towers that seemed to grow directly out of the stone, creating a defensive complex that is both man-made and a part of the mountain itself. The construction of Alinja was a monumental feat of planning and labour. At its peak, the fortress was a terraced city. Artisans and engineers carved thousands of steps into the mountainside to create levels for dwellings, administrative buildings, and, crucially, water cisterns. Securing a water supply was the most critical challenge for any mountain fortress, and Alinja's builders solved it ingeniously. They created a sophisticated system of rock-cut channels and deep plastered reservoirs to capture and store rainwater. This system allowed the fortress to withstand long sieges, as its inhabitants would have access to water long after an attacking army's supply had run dry. Alinja's most famous story is one of heroic resistance. In the late 14th century, the great conqueror Timur, also known as Tamerlane, laid siege to the fortress. His vast and powerful army was one of the most feared in the world, yet the defenders of Alinja held out. For 14 long years, a small but determined garrison resisted Timur's forces from their mountain sanctuary. They used their knowledge of the terrain and the fortress's formidable defences to repel countless attacks. This incredible tale of defiance cemented Alinja's reputation as one of the most impregnable strongholds of its time, a place where even the mightiest empires could be held at bay. The fortress was not only a military bastion but also a treasury and a royal sanctuary for the ruling dynasties of the region. Its near-impenetrable nature made it the perfect place to store state treasures and protect the royal family in times of war. To be the master of Alinja was to hold the ultimate symbol of power and sovereignty in Nakhchivan. Its commanding presence on the horizon served as a constant reminder of the ruler's authority. Today, though in ruins, Alinja remains a powerful national symbol in Azerbaijan, representing the spirit of resilience, independence, and the enduring strength of a people who built their home upon a mountain. High in the northern Andes of Peru, shrouded in the mist of the cloud forest, lies the magnificent fortress of Kuelap. This was the capital of the Chachapoyas, a culture that flourished for centuries before being conquered by the Incas. The sheer scale of Kuelap is honestly difficult to comprehend. It is an ancient city, perched on a limestone ridge over 3,000 meters above sea level. The entire complex is enclosed by a colossal outer wall, which in some places reaches a staggering 20 meters in height. This wall is constructed from massive, finely worked limestone blocks, some weighing several tons. all transported and lifted without the aid of the wheel or draft animals. The builders of Kuelap, the warriors of the clouds, chose this location for its supreme strategic value. The ridge offers panoramic views of the surrounding Utcubamba Valley, a key corridor for movement and trade in the region. From the watchtowers of Kuelap, sentinels could spot approaching visitors or enemies from a great distance, eliminating any chance of a surprise attack. The main entrances to the fortress were designed as long, narrow funnels that forced any intruder to enter single file. This clever design created deadly choke points where defenders, positioned on the high walls above, could easily neutralize a threat. Inside the monumental walls, Kuelap was a bustling city. Archaeologists have identified the foundations of over 400 circular stone buildings. Most of these were dwellings for the city's elite, its priests and its warriors. The circular design is a hallmark of Chachapoyas architecture. One of the most prominent structures within the upper sector is a solid, tower-like building known as El Tintero, which is believed to have served as an astronomical observatory. This suggests that Kuelap was not just a fortress, but also a vital political, religious, and scientific center for the Chachapoyas people. It was the heart of their civilization. The strategic genius of Kuelap allowed the Chachapoyas to dominate their territory for centuries. They controlled the surrounding valleys and the resources within them, building a powerful and prosperous society in this challenging mountain environment. Even the mighty Inca Empire struggled to conquer them. Although the Incas did eventually subdue the Chachapoyas in the 15th century, Kuelap remained a symbol of their fierce independence and architectural prowess. Today, its silent moss-covered stones stand as a profound monument to a lost world, a testament to the ingenuity and power of the mysterious cloud warriors who built their kingdom in the sky. Unlike fortresses that grew organically over centuries, Rohtas Fort in Pakistan was the product of a single strategic vision. It was commissioned in 1541 by the brilliant military leader Sher Shah Suri. After defeating the Mughal Emperor Humayun, Suri needed to secure his control over the northern regions of his new empire. His primary concern was to suppress the rebellious local Gakha tribes who remained loyal to the Mughals. He chose a strategic hill overlooking the Grand Trunk Road, a vital artery of commerce and military movement. Rohtas was therefore built not just for defense, but as an instrument of occupation and control, a powerful military base from which to project authority. The design of Rohtas is a masterclass in 16th century military engineering, blending Turkish, Persian, and Indian architectural styles. It is a vast and imposing structure with a circumference of about 4 kilometers. Its walls, up to 18 meters thick in some places, are punctuated by 68 formidable bastions and 12 monumental gates. Each gate is a complex defensive structure in itself, with angled approaches and flanking positions that would expose any attacker to a deadly crossfire. The fort was built by a massive workforce, and its sheer size and strength were intended to intimidate the local population and deter any thought of rebellion. It was a clear and unambiguous statement of Suri's power. The fortress is a layered defensive system. It is divided into 2 main sections, the main fortified area for the bulk of the garrison, and a smaller, more heavily guarded citadel or inner fort for the governor and his elite troops. This design ensured that even if the outer walls were breached, the command center would remain secure. The walls are also lined with thousands of machicolations, small openings through which soldiers could pour boiling oil or drop stones on attackers below. The entire complex was designed to house a large army, with extensive barracks, stables, and supply depots, making it a self-sufficient military city ready for a long campaign. Sher Shah Suri's vision for Rohtas was so effective that it was never taken by storm. Its purpose was to control the land, and it did so perfectly. After Suri's death, the fort was ironically ceded to the very Ghakkar tribe it was built to suppress, and later fell to the Mughal Emperor Akbar. For centuries, it remained a key strategic garrison, controlling the vital road and the surrounding territory. Its imposing presence ensured the stability of the region for successive empires. Rohtas Fort stands today as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a powerful reminder of an era of imperial ambition and a monument to the strategic genius of its founder. The physical elevation of these great fortresses translated directly into political and social power. The ability to see far and wide was not just a military advantage, it was an instrument of governance. From the ramparts of Alinja or Kuelap, a ruler or governor could survey their entire domain. They could see the villages nestled in the valleys, the fields being cultivated, and the herds moving across the pastures. This comprehensive view allowed for a level of oversight and administration that would have been impossible from the plains. It was a form of surveillance, enabling the state to monitor its population, collect taxes more effectively, and dispatch soldiers to quell any signs of unrest. This control extended powerfully to the arteries of trade. The world's economy, for much of history, flowed along specific, well-trodden paths. Fortresses like Rohtas, built astride the Grand Trunk Road, acted as giant toll gates. Rulers could observe every merchant caravan that passed, demanding tribute in exchange for safe passage. This transformed the fortress from a mere military expense into a profitable enterprise. The wealth generated from controlling trade routes could fund larger armies, more elaborate construction, and a more luxurious court. The high ground, therefore, provided not just security, but also the economic means to sustain and expand power across the region. The psychological impact of this elevated perspective cannot be overstated. The ruler, living in a fortress that seemed to touch the sky, was perceived as being closer to the gods. Their home was a visible link between the earthly realm and the heavens, lending a divine legitimacy to their authority. For the common person living in the shadow of the fortress, the structure was a constant, physical representation of the social hierarchy. It loomed over their daily lives, a silent yet powerful declaration of who held power. This visual dominance reinforced the established order and discouraged challenges to the ruler's might, making governance a matter of perception as much as of force. Ultimately, the view from the top provided a sense of total command. The world below appeared small, orderly, and manageable. This perspective fostered a ruler's confidence and ambition. It allowed them to think in terms of large-scale strategy, to manage resources across a wide area, and to plan for the future of their kingdom. The elevated fortress was the nerve center of the state, a place from which information flowed in and commands flowed out. It was the ultimate panopticon, a stone eye that watched over the land and its people, ensuring stability and cementing the power of those who resided within its walls. For all their strength and ingenuity, the age of the great mountain fortresses could not last forever. Their decline was often brought about by fundamental shifts in the art of warfare. The most significant of these was the development and proliferation of powerful artillery. Cannons, capable of hurling massive stone or iron projectiles over long distances, changed the calculus of siege warfare entirely. The thick stone walls of Alinja or Rohtas, which had been impervious to arrows and catapults, could be systematically pulverized by sustained cannon fire. The very height that was once a fortress's greatest advantage now made it a more visible and stationary target. Changes in political and economic landscapes also contributed to their obsolescence. As empires expanded and consolidated their power, large, centralized states emerged. These new powers often preferred to govern from populous and economically vibrant cities located on plains or in major river valleys. A remote mountain fortress, difficult to supply and isolated from the main centers of commerce and culture, became less practical as a capital. Power shifted from defensive strongholds to administrative hubs. The strategic importance of controlling a single mountain pass diminished as empires built extensive road networks and controlled vast territories, making one choke point less critical. In many cases, the very reason for a fortress's existence simply disappeared. Rohtas fort was built to suppress the Gakars, but when that conflict ended and the region was pacified under a larger empire, its primary military purpose vanished. Kuelap was the center of the Chachapoyas world, but after their conquest by the Incas and the subsequent disruption by the Spanish, its population dwindled, and the city was eventually abandoned to the cloud forest. The societies that had invested so much energy into building and maintaining these places were either conquered, absorbed, or simply moved on, leaving their once mighty strongholds to fall into silence and decay. Furthermore, the world itself became more interconnected. New sea routes for trade bypassed the old overland trails that the fortresses had once controlled. The focus of economic power shifted towards coastal ports and major trading cities. A mountain fortress, no matter how imposing, could not tax a ship sailing on a distant ocean. As their strategic and economic relevance faded, the immense cost and effort required to maintain these high-altitude cities could no longer be justified. Slowly, over decades or centuries, they were deserted. The wind and rain began their patient work, and these once proud symbols of power began their slow return to the mountain. Today, the fortresses of Alinja, Kuelap, and Rohtas stand as silent, magnificent ruins. Their garrisons are gone, their treasuries are empty, and the rulers who commanded them are figures of distant history. Yet they have not lost their power. Their significance has simply transformed. They are no longer centers of military or political authority, but have become powerful symbols of national identity, cultural heritage, and the enduring human spirit. They attract a new kind of visitor, not invading armies, but curious travelers, historians, and archaeologists who come to marvel at their grandeur and to listen to the stories whispered by their ancient stones. These sites serve as invaluable windows into the past. Archaeologists and historians study their architecture, their strategic placement, and the artifacts found within their walls to understand the societies that built them. Kuelap reveals the sophistication of the Chachapoyas culture, their engineering skills, and their social organization. Rohtas provides a perfectly preserved textbook of 16th century military design. Alinja tells a story of incredible resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. They are physical records of human ingenuity, ambition, and struggle, offering profound lessons about how our ancestors adapted to and mastered their environments in their quest for security. In the modern world, these fortresses have been reborn as symbols of national pride. For Azerbaijan, Alinja represents a history of fierce independence. For Peru, Kuelap is a testament to a great pre-Incan civilization, a source of immense cultural pride. For Pakistan, Rohtas Fort is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a monument to the region's rich and complex imperial history. They have become focal points for tourism, bringing economic benefits to the surrounding communities and fostering a connection between the present and the past. They are tangible links to the ancestors, places where a nation can reflect on its origins and the foundations of its identity. Ultimately, the legacy of these high places lies in the universal human story they tell. They remind us of the primal instinct to seek high ground, to find security, and to build something permanent in a changing world. Standing on their weathered ramparts, looking out over the same vast landscapes their builders once surveyed, we feel a connection across the centuries. We can appreciate the immense effort, the strategic genius, and the unyielding determination it took to raise these cities to the sky. They are more than just ruins. They are echoes in stone, timeless monuments to our enduring relationship with the mountains and our relentless drive to reach for the heavens. Subscribe to Eternal Echoes for more ancient histories.